Good evening, everybody from upstate New York. Tom the Wetner, the conversationalist. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope your holiday is getting collected and paid for, which would even be nicer, right? Let's like and subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell, whatever you can do to help me out. I would appreciate it. Hey, we got a good one tonight. We have been for a week since the shooting of the executive making changes in our lives. Why would we do? What would that catalyst have to do with anything? I mean, this is America, right? Go out there and make all the money you can. Stuff it in your pockets until your pockets are full, and then stuff it in your underwear, right? And who cares if you buy a drug patent and raise it 7,000 times the price, or people can't afford insulin? Insulin, something that keeps you alive. People are break dosing it so they can last longer. I feel sorry for this man's wife and children. I really do. But I come from an older generation that said, if you do and you get caught, you must pay the piper. And sometimes the piper wants more than you're willing to give. So every time you start an enterprise like this, understand there's a come to Jesus moment. I don't care if you're big or small. I don't care if you're scamming old ladies out of $100 bills, or you're scamming billions of dollars out of pharmaceutical companies, paying off every senator and every congressman you can find. Uh, what I care about is the people that I have seen uh, die prematurely because the medicines that they were allowed to get were not the medicines that they needed. They were either generics or knockoffs. In a lot of cases, the medicine that they were taking had so many side effects that they were taking other medicines to cover those side effects. Because remember, the first line drug is the cleanest. By the time you get down to the third generation of medicine, the same exact medicine, it's dirtier and dirtier. There's more stuff in it to make this work. And this, they'll tell you all these stories about, well, we added this ingredient because it's more digestible. Yeah, but it gives you the runs for the rest of the week. You have to understand this double talk that we get. And it's not only from our own government and companies and things like that, but right now, right? The Democratic Party's still singing Kumbaya. The stars are still shining in Hollywood, releasing their movies. Oh, yeah, right. George Clooney's a little bit upset with us, so he's going to go up to Lake Como and sit there in his billion-dollar mansion on Lake Como and discuss the future. Bye, George. Hey, Owen, you and the good-looking one, you're in England. Thank you for leaving. I hope you closed the border door. See, everything's changing, and nobody's getting the memo. Uh, things are going on in the Pentagon as always. The FBI, other than like 7,600 people retiring last week, is going on as they would. You know, there's a website right now, and you could check on every department and see how many people retired, how many people got fired, how many people just left. I mean, it's all there for you to see as the American people. Uh, but what about all of these people? And I'm talking about the people mostly that have to show their wealth. Old money never showed their wealth. Never. The guy sitting next to you at the Woolworth counter in 1962 could have been a millionaire, or he could have been down on his luck for his last 50 cents. because you would never know. Because people with money, other than, obvious few, would hide. They didn't go out and flaunt their wealth. Maybe if they were at a party, a closed party at some place, but they didn't flaunt it on the street. Not like we have all these millionaires and billionaires, and it's, not to pick on any one group, but look at all these millionaire rappers and country western and uh, pop music stars. All about, well, we got to all stand together. We're your heroes. We're the people you should look up to because we can sing, or we can play football or basketball. So look up to us because we know more than you. And unbeknownst to us, it's a bunch of bullshit. Isn't it scary how we are still indoctrinated to the old system, even though we voted in the new system? Everybody's like in a standstill. Broadcast media, the old guard, are still putting out these biased, one sided stories. Did they not get the memo that the people voted for difference? They voted not for the same old shit, and you're giving them the same old broadcast. Do you not get that? Um, I don't get how people can just be quiet and sit on the sidelines time after time after time and miss so many opportunities. In the last 20 or 30 years, we've missed so many opportunities to repair our country, and we've missed the mark. We have totally missed the mark. And here we have another opportunity to change. Now, I didn't say good change. I didn't say bad change. I said change. We have 4 years of Donald Trump in office. He has the Senate and the Congress. He has the Supreme Court. He's got Musk and Shabami going to town. And he's saying he's going to get it done in 3 years. Was he going to play golf the whole fourth year? Yo, Donald, man. But anyway, this is our opportunity. We can't waste this one because there may not be another one. If we waste this opportunity, maybe the Democrats will become so strong that the Republican Party will become irrelevant. Do you know how many societies have grown into one party relevancy? Look at Germany, Poland. The people, it's so lopsided there that I don't know. As long as you're on the right party, you can get elected. Do you want that in America? Where you have the candidate and they also ran. Might as well just stay home if that's the way you're going to come down to your election. If you're not going to get involved because you've got too much on your plate, I don't know how that is. I raised twice as many people as kids as most people raise. I failed in enough businesses so I know what it is to live day by day. I had some luck in life and I made it through. Where did that spirit go? Where do you have expectations of a corner office and $100,000 and you've never stepped foot into the business or the services that you now are supposedly qualified by your 4 year degree? I'm giving you the headlines here. There's so much to talk about that happened this weekend. I think Israel's trying to take Lebanon off the map. Does anybody know about that? Just bombing it flat, just like they did to Gaza. Jordan's getting their whacks. Nobody's paying attention to Biden whatsoever. Netanyahu from Israel, his plan is just to make it into a glass parking lot, and nobody lives there. I truly believe that. I believe his carpet bombings of the cities are just making them uninhabitable. Also, we've got North Korean soldiers in Ukraine right now. Most of them are surrendering. Brand new guns, never fired. It's a joke from a movie. Um, you've got it's actually become a drone war because they go fly over trenches and drop hand grenades into the trench and blow people up, or blow out a tank with one that goes overhead. Um, it really has artillery, few aircrafts, and drones. The lines haven't changed. The amount of money that we have spent, not Ukraine. Ukraine hasn't spent a dime, nor has Germany or Poland or any of those countries that are supposed to chip in. So here we are in the middle of Ukraine trying to solve that problem. And then right behind that, we have this border crisis, another bell ringing over here, right? So we've got all these bells ringing. Biden had to get over to France so he could see the new cathedral. Didn't bother to talk to anybody. You got Davos coming up. These are the people that want to digitize all the money in the world. Does nobody know that? Are we so out of touch? Or does the media keep it so controlled that nobody knows that Davos is coming up? It's a little scary to me because I talk to people. One, they either don't know what Davos is, or they don't understand how it works. The way it works is there's a group of wealthy people who want to get control of all the monetary funds in the world and put it on one system. You saw how well that worked with the EU, right? It just bombed out. Once again, just hitting the headlines. I'm trying to get you to think about as much stuff as you can. So you have the celebrities and the CEOs and even sometimes middle management walking around with security details. So what does that tell you? It's easier for them to hire, $10,000 a day security detail than it is to fix the problem. Dun, 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 dun. Why fix the problem when you can avoid it? That's the way American business, American people have been thinking since the 80s. Oh, here's the problem. Oh, we can't solve the problem. Just leave it. Somebody else will take care of the problem. I didn't have that luxury. I started working on something. I came up with a problem. I could call for some advice, but basically, I had to solve the problem. You can't let a broken water pipe run just because you don't have the right size wrench. You got to make it work and you got to fix it. Well, now I guess that no longer applies. The follow through on fixing things, good at spotting problems, but terrible about fixing. Well, we're 15 minutes in, and I want to say to Aortic Hope, hi guys, happy holidays. I hope everybody's healthy, wealthy, and wise, or at least the tax man hasn't caught up with them. I enjoy every minute with the survivors that I get to talk to and hear their stories. We have one posted on our page, which is just a fabulous guy for everything he went through and two, he's the most amazing person, just on top of the game. I took a lot of inspiration from him. Also, let's talk about St. Jude. Hello, St. Jude. Doing good work for children. Cancer, other diseases, focuses only on the child. They keep the families together, and everybody works for the child. Where can you find that in the rest of society? What other organization? I can think of one, Shriners Hospital, does the same thing with just different diseases. But there's nobody else. There's nobody else grabbing the big problems and solving them. So St. Jude, when they first started, they only saved 20%. Now they save 80%. Thank you, Danny Thomas and the Thomas family. Send them some money, like and subscribe, St. Jude. All right, let's get back to headlines and obvious Dunkin' Donut input. Let's talk about this morning at Dunkin' Donuts. Today there's a little mini revolution. A bunch of college young men in their pajamas came in and overheard a conversation going on from the old guy group in the corner and decided to put their 2 cents in. Well, not only did they get their 2 cents back, but they got some change. These young men were talking about what they deserve and what they need and how much their education costs. And you got to remember that two people have advanced degrees. One's a doctor and one's an attorney. But the rest of us, the only reason we graduated high school is because they didn't want us in high school for another 4 years. Okay, you got the picture? But we all have a whole lot of living, some of us in the 70s, some of us in the 80s. The 90-year-olds can't get out of the car to get in there, which thank God. They're always got to go to the bathroom. And the discussion today was obviously one of, we boiled it down to just what are you entitled to? Entitlement's a funny word, It it kind of sneaks up onto you. Entitlement. It sounds like some grand gesture. But really what it means is what I get for nothing. And when I was raised, you didn't get anything for nothing. See, if you put nothing in, you got nothing out. That's the way they explained it to us, You didn't put anything into the basket. Now you don't get to pick out of the basket. And it used to be about fruits and cherries and plums on Haynes Farm. But as you get older, you can correlate that to other things. So for the guys in the back of the F's, Jesus, wake up. It is important that you start filling up the basket. We've been too long living off the baskets of everything. I saw Mike Rowe today on a podcast, and he said we're to the tipping point that within another 4 years we won't have enough people to work on cars. Can you imagine? Now, I understand now the cars nowadays are like a nightmare of computers and things like that. So I'm not necessarily talking to you, but I want you to see the evolution of this. The first car I remember in my house was the Hudson. And I remember it parked alongside our house in the driveway. And my Uncle Mike and my dad and Uncle Arthur with the hood up. And they're looking at this, what I thought at the time was a monster engine. And, but every part of it was accessible. And because all these guys went through World War II, they had some mechanical background. So when I say accessible, I mean, if you look under the hood of your car now, you can't get your hand between the engine and the sidewall. But I remember working on cars as a young man, sitting on the fender with my feet in the engine compartment, changing spark plugs. Now you have to pull the engine to put the new injectors in. We've taken everything and complicated it to the point where uh, we've outthought ourselves and our abilities. Now somebody has to fix this, right? So what are we doing? What's the big fix? Well, right now in Europe, the big fix is for the electric cars, instead of charging them, you pull into the station and they open up the battery compartment, a lift comes down, they pull out the battery package, and then they put a new one in, and within 15 minutes, you're out the door with a full battery. Well, I guess that solves the problem somewhere, somehow, but I I know that my friends have problems. They have to plan their trips by where the charging stations are, no longer where they want to be. And yes, I understand that you can get 400 miles off a battery with a Tesla, but that's if the temperature is 70 degrees and the humidity is low and there's no headwind. Up here in God's country, upstate New York, one of these Tesla batteries lasts about 20 minutes. Uh, Elon, you know I love you, man. You're the greatest mechanic in the world, as far as I'm concerned. But damn, we being sold a bill of goods. So think about that when you're yelling at somebody for their gas-powered vehicle. All those that were the topics of conversation at Dunkin's Donuts because we have one individual who is getting a whatever kind of truck has the all electric. It's a Ford. Anyway, it's he's been on the list for 2 years to get one. Finally, he's come to the point where he can get one. Now, his whole claim to fame with this Ford is if you park it in your garage and power goes out, you can take the charging wire and plug it into your vehicle, and then it will charge your whole house. I don't know for how many hours. All depends how many batteries there, right? And he thinks that's the best thing in the world. And I'm like, damn, you spend like $180,000 on a truck to light up your house? Where's this going? And then he said, well, you don't have to put it that way. Well, what other way can I put it? I have to, you're telling me you're going to pay $180,000 for the cutting edge electric truck to power your house. And it may last, what, 8 hours? Huh. That's that new fangled thinking. What else do we have on the plate? So we got all these CEOs and CFOs from the pharmaceutical companies. They're all got these heavy armed guards now, and they're rolling around in these bulletproof vehicles. Um, I've I have friends that have a little contact with these security companies, as they call it, and they're overwhelmed. They're calling in everybody they can think of because they need that many people. And of course, the celebrities don't feel safe because they have to have bigger security details. Meanwhile, telling you, you don't need your guns. So if you have a security guards around you with guns, but I can't have guns, how does that equate? That bird came to roost this week, this past week too. We all of a sudden realized the double talk of these Hollywood people. If you're sending your kid to school in an armored up vehicle with two security men, God bless you. But what about all the other kids in that school? They can't afford that kind of protection. Hell, maybe their fathers are doing that protection for some other kid. Isn't that a scary thought? I have spent a lot of time trying to understand where America's going to go. How are we going to put it all back together again? I'm very happy that we have President Trump coming into office, but I'm scared to death what Biden's going to do. He's over 1,500 pardons given out. Over 1,500. Clemency. Oh my God. That's where you get everything gone. I mean, like your brand new baby. Oh God, he's got, you know, d- are his staffers just sticking papers in front of him and he's signing them? That seems to be the answer. You don't see him or hear from him. Let's talk about the two shooters that were after Trump. The one who got his ear and the other one that got his hedgerow. Where are they? What's the latest on them? Oh, that's right. That's not important enough to be on the nightly news. Okay, well, how about Luigi? Well, I look at news from other sources than the Main Street, and there's a lot going on, but nobody's reporting on it. There is a lot of investigations going on to his background, but none of it's being released. Two things that I know of that he has a contact with the person he killed, and the other thing is he didn't have access to a 3D printer, so somebody printed that gun for him. Dun 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 dun. Not on your nightly news. It's not even on my broad spectrum. It's requested sites. So you can't go by what the media is going to tell you. I I've learned a long time ago their biases. You have to understand who's giving you the information, where are they from, what's their background, why are they speaking in this direction? Is it because this is the facts and where they lead them, or is it the absolute propaganda? For lack of a more strenuous word, you, the American people, are responsible for everything that goes on from this point on. Trump can't do it, not without your backing, to silence all these naysayers. I love Elon and Shoami. They're not even government employees. They're volunteer. They're volunteer auditors. You gotta crack that one up. Everybody is in Washington D.C. that needs a title, right? My title for Washington D.C. is I stay out of there. Okay. Well, we're about 30 minutes in. Let's say uh, for the PAD, peripheral artery disease, way to the heart. Kim, good people, doing great things, saving people's toes. Where if you had diabetes or a circulatory problem and you lost bits and pieces of you, now they can save them. Go to PAD and see Kim, send her a note, like and subscribe to her. Ask her a question. She'll get back to you. Whether you need a doctor or alternatives to surgery, or if you need referrals, sure she'll help you out. And last but not the least, let's talk about rock and roll because you know I like me some rock and roll. So you're gonna learn over the course of a weekend, 2 days. Your knowledge level is going to go up about aortic disease and everything else the committee speaks about. And then the second day, you're going to get the party. Now, how can you resist that? One day of listening and one day of getting wrecked. Thank you. I feel like that's an even exchange. So go see my people. Once again, Tom the Wedner, the conversationalist. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Throw tomatoes at your own screen. I'm going to talk about the most important thing coming up. We're going to have a lot of disgruntled people in this country over the next, say, 6 to 8 months. And they're not going to be disgruntled about Donald Trump. What they're going to be disgruntled about is the change itself. And even good change is hard, they say. Even good change is hard. That's the comment. I want to be. I don't want to be that harbinger of doom and gloom. I want you to understand that you don't need to get into this. Okay? If you don't see race, you don't speak about race, then it becomes a non-issue. I mean, there's a lot of people heavily invested to keep the race card playing, but we can take that away from you. If you don't see it, if you don't speak about it, if you don't comment about it, if everybody's just an American, we can get over a lot of the humps that have been holding us back. But that's going to take change on an individual level and a broader level. Means it starts with you to change and be who you are, the real true person. I know there's a lot of people on here that are assholes that don't want to be assholes. Change. Put the effort in to thinking of great comebacks. Put that into just changing yourself, understanding why your triggers are such that you do that. And if you can do it, somebody else can do it. And maybe there's a group of you can do it together. I don't know. But it's worth trying. I mean, we're not going down a good road right now. So why not change and see if we can get down a better road? It's that analogy is the simplest one I can give you. What about this budget? Well, if everything Elon and Schwammy says that it's going to happen, it's going to be minuscule coming out of the budget because the budget is pretty, like 48% of it's just entitlements, like Social Security, all that. So right away, between 40 and 45% is locked in. You can't really do much about it. So that leaves you 55%, let's say, for shits and giggles. We can knock a hell of a lot off that. I mean, off the top of my head, let's just get rid of all these peripheral uh, agencies, the redundant ones, the ones that don't do anything anyway, and save that money really quick. But there's more that we can do. Right now, there's a bill to extend the government, the budget. Does anybody know that? That the country's going to run out of money if they don't pass this bill to extend credit? Do you know what's not in that bill? Because I've read the whole bill from page 1 to page 4.
Second, Tom. Hold on a second, just a little bit longer. All right, you're back. It's weird.
All
What's
right,
not
so
in this bill is the farmers.
the farmers are taking the hit again for the country. Now, as you know, when it comes to people who put their sweat in the ground, I am fanatical about it. It's the one thing in my life that brings out this protectiveness. I mean, my grandchildren, granted, a few of my family members, definitely not my wife, but I take care of people, but because I love them. But the truth of the matter is the thing that over at the top of even that is about the guy who puts his hand in the dirt, or the lady who puts his hand in the dirt, or the child who puts his hand in the dirt. Now that's a euphemism for just farming. You understand? Putting your hands in the dirt. Because most people don't dig in the dirt anymore. They don't even want to touch it. They wash it off their hands and wipe their shoes off. And, when everything gets barely soiled, they wash it. And because nobody wants to deal with dirt. But that's where your food comes from. I have a friend that's milking 1,000 cows a day, 68,000 gallons of milk a day, two milkings. The only people that he can get to work for him is immigrants. Nobody wants to farm anymore. It's a tough job. Can you imagine milking 1,000 cows a day? You should see his setup. It's all automated. It's just amazing. And then his holding tanks look like something out of a gasoline station. Big. And they pick up the milk and take it over to Distani. Where is he going to get any help? When is he going to get any help? Because if he knocks off and a few more big farmers, there's no milk for Dasani yogurt. Think about it. Has to plant a feed that he's going to roll for 2 or 3 years and feed his cows. So he does that all spring and summer. Then he has to bring it all in. Meanwhile, he's got to run that 1,000 cows twice a day into the barn, clean them up, feed them, milk them. Now every spring he's got to deal with the calves because a certain number of cows are going to, just milk out. So you got to constantly have calves. So now the young ones you're bottle feeding, and the ones that are more substantial, you're trying to just maintain them so they don't get pneumonia. Because it's, when they calve, it's cold and you have to protect them because a 40% loss 100 years ago was nothing. I mean, they planned for 40% losses. Now, even with the number of cows that are being born, we're at a deficit every year. Less and less cows being milked. People say milk and eggs and butter have gone up exponentially. Well, no shit, Sherlock. But it isn't the farmer getting the money. It's the middleman, the one that packages it and then delivers it to the grocery store. This is called trickle down economics. In other words, those in the middle are pissing on the people under them, and they're saying it's rain down their back. So we have the federal government passing a financing bill with nothing for the farmers. We have Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, that gives all sorts of money to farms. By what she means that she gave it to hemp, and then there was no market to sell for hemp. Then she gave it to the marijuana growers, and she overgave those, so now they're driving the price down in on the market. There's such a glut on the market. And now she's talking about the climatological uh, impact of cows and methane. Well, I guess cows do fart and there is methane. But sure as sticking a hose up each one of their asses and collecting the methane, I don't know what you're going to do about it. I sure as hell ain't going to run after a cow who sprung his hose. What I'm trying to get through to you is that things are changing. change it for the better and change it for the worse. But you have to understand that these changes, even though you think you're at a good place in your high-rise apartment or your subdivision with your 2 cars and 3.6 kids and uh you know 2 in a basement that will never ever launch, they'll be with you until the day you die. The world is changing. Can we fix it? Can we change the direction? I don't know. Maybe it would be nice to think that we have that kind of power, but we can try. I mean, that's the secret to solving any problem, trying. Put your hands in it, twist something, take something out, look at it, see if there's a wire loose or no. I mean, that's the way I learned. I took things apart. Took a lot of things apart that I shouldn't have, but that's how I learned. Now you have YouTube. All you got to do is click on repair a toaster, and there will be 9,000 videos on how to repair a toaster. Is that a good thing? Yeah, I think that is a good thing. I mean, I do a lot of my own work, and I always look on YouTube because there's better ways of doing things. People come up with better ways to do things. Most of mine are so old that can't help but change. The product changes. Yes, I think we're into good change. I hope we're into good change. All you have to do is support it. You have to understand that the most important thing that's going on here is a conversation. And we're early in the conversation. And it's important that we have these conversations. They were talking about closing whole plants down because they had no one to fix a certain piece of equipment. And they brought in this 83-year-old guy who had worked on that mill for so many years. And he came in and he had a funny looking wrench with all sorts of bends in it. And he went over and he cracked open some valve that was way back in the corner. He could barely reach it with that wrench that went up and down and around. I was angled to the left. I have to get the video. It cracked me up. And he's in his 80s pulling on this valve or nut or whatever it was. And then he comes out. He's completely covered in soot on one side of his body because I guess he leaned up against something. So just the one side of his body is absolutely black as face down the front of him. And he says to the kid, "Start her up." So the kid goes over and he pushes the red button, and you hear this squawking, beeping noise like, "Here comes the shit." Then he hits the yellow button, and you can hear the machine start to whirl. Then he hits the green button, and the machine takes off. Well, it starts spitting out these things out the back end. I don't know what the hell they were, and I don't care. But nobody in that plant had ever been taught that there is a right override valve or override system that has to be readjusted once this certain mechanism breaks down. Except this 80-year-old man who had been retired for like 30 years. That's what I mean by not everything is in documents. Not everything is on video. Not everything is in this square box here. Even though we like to think that we can be the smartest person in the world as long as we're attached to Google. Well, I hate to tell you, Google is a mess right now. It's so politicized. It's so focused on woke and left that you don't understand until you get off. Like if you're in Europe and you're using different processors and different search engines and uh what's the other one? Oh my goodness. I just DuckDuckGo. That's another one that I crack up. I get the searches, identical searches, bring up so much different information. And I forget who turned me on to that. I think it was Fat Benny, but I'll have to think on that one. I don't know how he type it out because his fingers look like, I don't know, baseball bats. He said, "No, I use a pen." I said, "Great, use a pen." Pen disappears in his hand. I mean, I don't know how it works. I mean, you can't have a hand that a pen disappears in, and then you're gonna try to use it. Come on, let's get to reality here. All right, speak about reality. We got about 10 minutes left. So let's wrap this up because I know it seems rambling, but it's really not. It brings us all back to the same point. We all vested interest in America being great again, America being that place where everybody can buy a house and everybody can live on a good salary. And if mom doesn't want to go to work, that's fine. Take care of the house, sweetheart, and the kids. I got this. I got this covered. I mean, that's what my whole life was about being out there. And it was my job to take care of everything. Then the kids grew up and my wife wanted to take some of the burden. That's how we worked it out. You know, we didn't run out of the situation every time there was a problem, except I had to put her on a week-to-week contract. But that's another story. So I'm the wet in the conversationalist. Like, subscribe, share, toot my bell, send in donations. I'm a fat old guy who wants to go to Frederick, Maryland again for a good steak. This time I'm going to get the hors d'oeuvres of the shrimp. Should have got them because the table next to us got them and they were fabulous. But that's a story for another time because we were in a non-disclosed location. But Hampton Inn's nice. Nice place to stay. But they say there's a newer one, so I should stay there the next time. So, but because of my service dog, I don't have a lot of options because, like, Hampton Inns, they don't charge. If you have a service dog, they don't charge an extra cleaning fee, which is around 80 to $100. But some of these other places, they don't care whether it's a service dog or not. They charge $80. And because I'm cheap, I don't, I consider that stuff. Besides, my dog's very well behaved as long as he doesn't think he's a puppy. And then something happens. Like right now, he's napping on a bed. Why is he napping on a bed at this time of night? Because he's getting ready for round 3. Yeah, we'll be wrestling for the next 45 minutes. It's just his way of doing it because then he goes down for his nap time. Got to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. He's so regimented, I can't believe it. Finally got Josh to see him. Couldn't figure out how this guy had Josh's voice, but he wasn't in the square box. It's really strange, how life goes on. All my deficits, but then all the things I do to cover my deficits. And, it just proves a point to everybody this weekend. I just took off and did my thing from Wednesday to Sunday, and everybody was horrified. And I was getting all these panic text messages, and I would send it back all good. All right. I guess I wandered around enough for a Monday, but this is Monday, and you've got me after 2 gummies and a full day of work. Today was a busy day for me, getting my life back in order. What does that mean? I don't want to tell you, but it hurts. All right. God bless you. each and every one of you have a great holiday. Whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa and anything else that I've forgotten about. Let's have a little peace and quiet from now until New Year's. Let's understand that we're all one people on one earth. When it comes down to it, you are you, I am me, and everybody else in between are just people. And we all make mistakes, so be forgiving. All God's blessings. Josh, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate you, my brother. Tom Newetner, the conversationalist. I'm out of here.